Hey everyone, this is Matt with the Recklessly Skeptical podcast.
My name is Josh.
And my name is Joe. Today we have a special guest, or co-host, whatever you want to call it, Chad Kastner. Chad lives in Sandy. He's from Baltimore, Maryland, and he's followed by 16 people on Facebook.
I'm hella famous.
Yeah, Chad is a lifelong family church friend that Matt and I have had for, what were you saying, 27 years? We've known each other 27 years, so that's a long time. Our moms used to hang out, and I think they still do, you know.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Chad. This is our first Sunday hanging out in decades because we used to go to church together. But this is our first Sunday in decades.
So, Chad, what was Joe like at church? Was he a good kid?
Oh, he was a goddamn hellion. He was always like, like he was telling me earlier, like he was skeptical even then, and that definitely showed through. But he was also, like I said, just a hellion. He was always getting in trouble and getting sent upstairs to the adult church. Good times.
He was snorting coke and banging hookers in the bathroom. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was always kind of skeptical. I asked a lot of questions because a lot of it didn't make sense, and so I'd elaborate on a lot of that stuff. I'd be like, well, what about this?
Right.
And then I'd get in trouble, or so then I started goofing off, and I'd get in trouble more, and I'd get sent upstairs.
Right.
Alrighty, well, thanks for coming on, Chad. I'm sure we're going to have a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so today is April 9th, 2017, and we're going to get started with a stolen thought. So this comes from Tennessee Williams. Quote, I don't believe in original sin. I don't believe in guilt. I don't believe in villains or heroes, only right or wrong ways that individuals have taken, not by choice but by necessity or by certain still uncomprehended influences in themselves, their circumstances, and their anecdotes. This is so simple, I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm sure it's true. In fact, I would bet my life on it. And that's why I don't understand why our propaganda machines are always trying to teach us, to persuade us, to hate and fear other people on the same little world that we live in. End quote.
Batman
like
disagrees.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
That's a really good quote.
I don't know who. It's Tennessee Williams.
He was
He's a playwright, right?
a playwright, and I'm pretty sure he was gay, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
He wrote A Streetcar Named Desire, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I think that was one. I did a little reading on him this morning. Yeah.
Now I feel more cultured.
Yep.
Yay. All right, so I've got the Gallup Daily poll for this week. The real unemployment is at 9.2%. Gallup Good Jobs is at 45.3%. Engaged at work is 31.9%. Economic confidence is at 7%. It was down to 4% at one point this week. And consumer spending is at $92, which is down a bit. And Trump's approval rating is holding somewhat steady at 40%. It has been going down little bit. Gallup doesn't do a conglomerate like 538 does. And 538, it becomes pretty apparent that the line is steadily going down on his approval rating, and the disapproval rating is steadily going up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's all I've got. So, Matt, why don't you kick us off with the story? Can it be a happy story?
No, it's a sad, depressing story that happened this morning.
God damn it.
So, this is from CNN. ISIS claims responsibility for Egypt's Palm Sunday church bombings. So there were two bombings in Egypt this morning.
April 9th.
Yes. So ISIS claimed responsibility for bombings that killed 36 people at two Coptic churches in Egypt on Palm Sunday. Brazen strikes against a vulnerable minority on one of the most important days on the Christian calendar. Yeah, there's not that much information out because it barely happened this morning.
Yeah.
And there are some horrific pictures. But I just wanted to let everybody know what happened. And yeah, so that sucks.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know. That's
just-
religion.
Yeah.
You know, look at people fighting over who's God's the real God, and it's
And
just
when I always like to use the word fundamentalist instead of extremist.
Yeah.
Because to a religious person, when they hear the word extremist, they think, yeah, that guy's just extreme. He's not actually following that religion. But actually, a lot of these attacks and things that happen in the name of religion are in the name of fundamentalism. They are following the dogma of that religion.
Yeah.
You know, Westboro Baptist Church, hating fags and all that.
Yeah.
They are following the dogma.
Yeah.
They are fundamentalist.
Yep.
Good point.
All right, so let's talk about the bombings in Syria. This is coming from Fox. I don't know why I'm reading a story from Fox. But, okay, so
hey,
about...
you asked for the source from Fox, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Okay, about 20 Syrian jets destroyed in missile strike, defense officials say. So the U.S. missile strike targeting a major Syrian airbase near Homs early Friday destroyed about 20 Syrian jets. 2 senior defense officials with knowledge of the strike told Fox News. None of the jets managed to take off and escape before U.S. missiles hit the target, the officials said, adding that all of the destroyed aircrafts were jets, not helicopters. No Russian aircraft were at the Sharia airfield. The U.S. launched 60 missiles in all. It was believed that one missile failed and likely fell into the sea, but defense officials were still assessing where it landed. 2 U.S. destroyers, the USS Ross and the USS Porter, launched the Tomahawk cruise missiles south of Cyprus in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. Fox News is told the missiles were the Tomahawk E, or Echo version. It is the latest model and has two-way satellite communication, allowing the missile to be programmed in flight if needed. The missiles can carry 1,000 1,000-pound warheads. Fox News is told the mission is complete. There have been no additional orders to shoot more missiles, but there are still some remaining missiles on board each of the 2 U.S. destroyers. Each destroyer carries about 35 Tomahawks. The Russians were warned. Excuse me. The Russians were warned about an hour before the missiles hit the base, the defense official said. U.S. Central Command, headquartered in Florida, planned this mission. Army General Joe Vitale leads the organization in charge of all American forces and operations in the Middle East.
So I heard you say the mission is complete.
Yeah,
so
like
is
a
this,
Bush thing?
Yeah,
maybe?
Is this like when Bush was on the aircraft carrier and he said mission accomplished?
Mission accomplished, yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. So I think that what Donald Trump has been trying to assure everyone of, because it affected the market, because the market doesn't know what fucking he's thinking, what Trump's thinking. So he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this was an incident that he wanted to send a message to Bashir Assad. And that guy's a motherfucker, too. So they warned Russia in advance, which allowed Syria to clear the airfield for most of their planes. It was the inoperable ones that they couldn't clear that got destroyed. And they also destroyed a fueling station. And there was another important fact about it. Well, first off, one of the things is that each of those missiles was $500,000 each, if I remember right. So we just wasted how much money? $18 million?
Like quite a bit.
And there's conflicting reports on what Russia said as far as the success of the mission. We're saying that there was only one missile that didn't reach its target. They were saying that like 14 of them didn't reach their target. So it's hard to tell exactly what happened. Also, 3 Syrian soldiers died as a result of this. And I think that including the death toll on these missions is important.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as far as just doing a single attack goes, it was fairly effective if your only point was to say, hey, if you use chemical weapons, there's going to be consequences. But it doesn't. Supposedly, this escalates things between us and Russia, and I don't know where that's going to end or if it's even real. Like this could be like a fucking like us puffing off our feathers, pretty much.
Well, it's interesting that Trump warned Russia, he warned Putin,
yeah,
but he didn't even go to Congress to get approval to bomb Syria.
Well, and it's funny. Well, back in 2013, Obama was talking about going into Syria and
he asked
bombing
Congress
and stuff, and a lot of people on the right who who are with Trump on this criticized Obama about
Yeah, you need approval first, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
And even Trump said, no, we can't attack Syrian people. That's messed up, whatever. And then here he is a few years later doing it himself, and everyone who was criticizing Obama is like, go Trump, go Trump.
And
So it's kind of annoying. It does, I don't know. It's, I feel like a lot of people on the right and the left, when they get their person into office, it doesn't matter what they do, they're all for it, even though it might be similar to what someone on the other side of the aisle was doing.
Yeah, and the question that I've seen posed a lot is that would Hillary Clinton do anything different? Maybe, maybe not.
She probably would have done the same thing.
No, I think she would have been using drones because those are the ethical way of killing people, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. It's like, chemical coffee bombs got, dropped on Syria, so that makes us mad. Let's go drop boomy bombs on Syria.
Yeah.
Because that's more ethical. It's like you're still killing people.
So with this though, I mean, do we know that Assad bombed his own people? Was it Assad?
in this specific situation, I don't know the details of it, but I know for a fact that he has been bombing.
So,
Like,
Right.
Russia's story, the story that the Russia media has been running with is that that this came out, like, the chemical weapons were released as an accident, not really. They weren't the Assad's chemical weapons; they were the rebellion's chemical weapons. They bombed a base by the chemical plant, or they bombed where the chemicals were, and that's how they got released. That story is almost definitely bullshit because of the way that it was released, and also the level of accuracy. Like, if you bomb a thing, sure, it can go out there, but it was dispersed on a. I mean, the way it was dispersed, it looks like it was definitely an intentional thing.
Right.
Whether Russia knew about it beforehand or not, that's a good question.
and I want to just add that I've seen a lot of people on Facebook say, "Oh, Obama did this too," which is true. And when Obama was dropping bombs and killing people and using drones, I was bitching about that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, because civilians were dying too, and
Yes.
it affected you. You got upset.
Yes. So it just kind of bugs me when people are like, Obama did it too. Yes, we know that. Why you're changing the subject? Let's talk about Trump.
Yeah.
He's doing shit like this, and I just want to give a couple numbers. So, according to Air Wars, a British monitoring group, alleged civilian casualties linked to U.S. strikes in Syria and Iraq have soared to 1,472 so far this month. That was in March. In March of last year, 196 civilians were reported killed. So the difference is, 1,300 or so. And the previous all-time high was 613 in January.
Yeah.
So the numbers are going higher with Trump.
Agreed, but civilians are still dying no matter
Yes.
which person is in an office.
Yeah, but that's my point. It was 196 with Obama, which is awful.
Yeah.
But 196 compared to 1,472. And what it said, the last all-time high was 613 in January when you had Obama and Trump in office in that month.
See, these numbers are awful, but most people don't give 14 shits about these numbers at all.
That's true.
They care about the images. The images of those kids, like, because those images of those bombs going off were awful. Or like the kids seizing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seizing, I mean, that's awful, right? That's what makes a difference, I think. I mean, in this case, that's what I think Trump's playing off of. He even said something like
About the kids,
no child of God should suffer such horror. Like, go fuck yourself.
When
pal.
he's killed tons of kids.
Oh, right. Dude, like, these people don't give a shit, but that's what it's the images of the kids, like, having seizures after. I mean, it's awful.
Well, yeah,
But I
they
think
use
that's
it as
what-
propaganda to
Exactly.
do something for their own means.
Exactly. And all these people, even Rachel fucking Maddow is buying into it. She's like cheering on. She's championing Trump's actions with bombing Syria. Like, these left wing MSNBC people are like, they get a hard-on for fucking dropping bombs
Yeah.
on other countries.
Yeah.
They love it.
And
Brian Roberts was like, look at this beautiful picture, and it was a picture of a Tomahawk launching from one of the cruisers and with an American flag in the background or in the foreground, and he was saying, oh, that's a beautiful picture. So
Patriotism. We're spreading freedom.
yeah,
So
Right.
we all know our friend Pray for Trav from the Evil Atheist group.
Yeah.
I was arguing with him, and he supports these bombings, and it's just funny because he's like, what else can we do? When 6 months ago he was demanding we don't take any refugees from Syria. And I told him, well, first, let's go through Congress and do it according to the law. Second, let's take in refugees. And third, let's send in humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other
Oh, yeah.
The only option isn't just to drop bombs,
Yeah.
And if you kill Syrian soldiers, now those three, one of their cousins might want to,
Yeah.
do
Oh,
some
yeah.
sort of terrorist attack. Their kid, it's going to make more terrorists.
I know if there
It's
was a bunch
stupid.
of crazy shit going on here and in the U.S. and then, and I didn't really have any problems with China, but China was occupying a lot of our surrounding territory and then started bombing us and killed my whole family, I'd probably end up being a terrorist. That's how you create terrorists. You drop a bomb on their town. You drop a bomb on a town, you kill a whole bunch of people, you kill a shit ton of civilians, and you maybe get one terrorist operative. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You just created 15 more terrorists.
Yes.
And maybe even more. Because a lot of people are going to survive that, and they're going to have loved ones who didn't. Mm-hmm. And they're going to get pissed off. What are they going to do? Oh, well, the U.S. is just
Spreading democracy.
spreading freedom, and they're going to be like, fuck the U.S.
And people will condemn Assad for things he does.
Yeah.
And then when America does it, they say it's collateral damage. It's not
Exactly.
fucking collateral damage when we knowingly drop a bomb on a wedding.
Yeah.
That's not that's murder. That's fucking terrorism.
Yeah, exactly. And who did that? And do you condone those actions, Matt?
No.
And who did it?
The U.S.
And, well, which president?
Obama.
Exactly. And so I just want people to know, listen to our podcast, that we're not sitting here going, Obama's the best. We don't like any president who drops bombs on civilians. So
Isn't
I just
that
wanted
cute?
to point that out.
Isn't that cute, the rhetoric that's used when another country bombs kills civilians? It's terrorism.
Yeah.
It's genocide if they bomb their own shit. But when they bomb their own shit,
somebody else.
somebody else, is terrorism, or it's genocide if it's their own people. We're bombing other people, and we kill civilians.
And it's
Collateral damage.
Yep.
Give me a
Sorry,
fucking
guys.
break.
Oopsie, because it's automatically right when we do it.
yeah.
And one of the worst shootings that we've had to deal with was the Pulse nightclub shooting. 53 people died, or 49 people died, 53 people injured, and that was like one of the worst terrorist attacks that you could associate with terrorism. The guy really had no ties to any terrorist groups. He was just
His ideology.
Ideology drove him to do it, but then post-death, ISIS claimed him. Or he said he was inspired by ISIS or some bullshit like that. And that is 1/70th of the amount of people that have died this month from our attack, for civilians that are dead from our attacks on Syria.
Wow.
So,
Makes you think. Holy
It
shit.
really does.
yeah. So let's move forward.
Sorry, we were stuck on that for a little bit.
I've got a bit more of a lighthearted story
Good,
because
good.
I don't like Bill O'Reilly. So I've got two stories in regards to this because I like to source multiple sources. The Huffington Post: advertisers boycott Bill O'Reilly, ignored years of offensive comments. Advertisers are fleeing the O'Reilly factor following a revelation that several women have received a collective $13 million in settlements after accusing Bill O'Reilly of sexual harassment. Bill O'Reilly worked at Fox News since the network launched in 1996, was a source of controversy long before the New York Times published its bombshell report on the accusations against him. The anchor has a history of making racist, sexist, or otherwise inflammatory remarks, none of which prompted companies to pull advertisements from his show at that time. And then it talks about like the different types of sexual harassment he went through, or that he is accused of. And some of it, like there's recordings of him having phone sex with women where the women aren't reciprocating, but they don't really have a choice because he's like important to the network, so they don't want to lose their jobs. So they're like, and he tries to say loofah. And what was it that he said?
Have you? So you've actually listened to these?
Yeah, they're pretty hilarious in the fact, not because of what's happening during them,
Like what's going on is bad.
Yeah, is terrible.
Yes.
But goddamn, Bill O'Reilly is like the most awkward person in the world. A lot of these guys are.
I
he's such
never
a-
liked the motherfucker.
He's a family values kind of guy.
Yeah.
I hate
And
how
He's a good Christian.
when he gets people on his show to debate or to talk about something, like he won't ever let them talk. Like he reminds
Tide
me
goes
of,
in, tide comes out.
he reminds me
Yeah.
of Matt Slick in a sense. So
You can't explain that.
You can't explain that.
Yeah.
Have you seen that when he interviewed
David Silverman.
David Silverman,
Yeah.
the president of American Atheists?
and he said you can't explain the tide coming in. and
Tide
coming
goes
out.
in, tide comes back.
I haven't seen
Can't
that,
explain
but no,
that.
but yeah, you can explain that.
They've made pictures from David's face.
Yeah, 'cause
After Bill O'Reilly said that, his face was like,
He became a what the fuck meme.
Really?
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah, I'll have to show
Yeah.
you during a break or something.
Okay.
And then this is from Mediite, and this is the revelation that the title of this is Watch Thursday's O'Reilly Factor abruptly ends 15 minutes early. The revelation has that he has settled 5 different sexual harassment claims, led to dozens of major sponsors pulling their ads from his show, to the point that commercial breaks on Thursday looked radically different from the ones on Monday. It gets a bit weird from there, though. Thursday's edition of the O'Reilly Factor went off air 15 minutes early. And I saw the end of it, too. He was teasing, like, oh, look at the spring breakers, or look at this Texas town who won't have spring breakers. And this is Fox's excuse to have women in bikinis, young women in bikinis on their show without breaking their family values, just so they can go on there and look at these bikini women. Ugh.
So all the old conservative men at home are like, "Oh, that's just disgusting." Oh, yeah.
Keep showing it. I want to see how disgusting this is.
Dirty girls.
They are such dirty, bad little girls.
Essentially, but he got pulled, and then they didn't re-air him later on that night when he was scheduled to be.
Okay.
So he might not ever be on Fox again.
That's great. But
No
are they
shit.
probably just going to replace him with someone?
Tommy Lauren,
Yeah,
dude.
Tommy-
Tommy
Yes, he
Lauren. She's gonna take his place.
Oh, so this is a hypothesis that you have, or is this?
Yes, this is
Or should I call this like more of a prophecy that you have?
It's a prophecy. This is
okay.
how they're gonna get the young American conservative.
Oh.
Get rid of the old white man. Get the young blonde chick.
Makes sense.
To tell all these old men that their ideas are right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their views are gonna go up.
Yes.
Look at that conservative young dirty girl.
And then if she has a sexual
scandal.
everyone will be like, yeah,
Yeah.
instead of so.
All right. That's
I wish she'd harass me. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, I have a story. It's about wine, you guys.
Yes.
A glass of Merlot can give your brain a workout. Drinking wine engages the organ more than any other human behavior. Now, this is coming from a neuroscientist, but it sounds a little bullshitty to me.
yeah, it does already to me. My bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering where you're going with this.
My s-
Like, is this going somewhere? Like,
I mean, it's a neuroscientist, and he has some weird ideas. Just you
okay.
gotta
We'll
listen.
listen to it.
Humor it.
A glass of Merlot could, or Sauvignon Blanc could give your brain an all-over workout. Drinking wine engages more of the brain than any other human behavior, according to one leading neuroscientist. Professor Gordon Shepard from the Yale School of Medicine said drinking wine sparks a reaction in both the sensory and emotional parts of the brain.
Is that why I cry every time I drink?
Every time you drink wine.
He added that spitting wine out, and that's important because when you go to wine tasting places, they spit it out.
So you don't get drunk because all you're doing is tasting wine.
Yes. So he added that spitting wine out while tasting prevents you from fully appreciating its complex flavor. Instead, drinkers should swallow every drop. He said in his book, Neuroenology, How the Brain Creates the Taste of Wine.
That's what I tell people. Swallow every drop.
Drinking wine is vital for obtaining the most information possible about the quality of the wine, he writes. He coined the term neurogastronomy to describe the study of how the brain creates the perception of flavor. Professor Shepard claims that taste is merely an illusion created by how our senses and emotions surrounding food and drink combine in the brain. In his book, he writes, the taste is not in the wine. See, this is where it gets a little weird.
Yeah.
The taste is not in the wine. The taste is created by the brain of the wine taster. He said the movement of wine through the mouth and alcohol-infused air through the nose causes the brain to conjure up a flavor. The most important part of this brain activation comes when we breathe out wine-infused air after taking in a sniff. In his experiments, he claims to have found evidence that drinking wine engages more of the brain than enjoying music or even solving a challenging math equation. The molecules in the wine don't have taste or flavor, but when they stimulate our brains, the brain creates flavor the same way it creates color, he told National Public Radio in the U.S. The brain builds a picture of colors in the mind using the information from the eyes about how the light hits the object around us. So I see how he's comparing it to light.
Yeah.
But at the same time, isn't the light... It has certain wavelengths. So he's saying like the taste isn't in the wine, and he's trying to compare it to light. But the light does have its color because of the wavelength.
You know what this reminds me of, though, kind of?
What?
Like listening to a philosophy professor talk about metaphysics and shit. Like,
oh, God. Yeah, that's all I wanted to read. I thought it was weird. But
the spoon isn't real, man.
he's a professor from Yale, so I thought it was worth reading, and we can take it as you wish.
Well, I know,
Take it
like,
with
we
it.
all have our taste buds, and, you know, certain taste buds are affected by salt and sugar and whatnot. But a lot of people have different opinions about different foods. You know, some people love sweets and other people don't like sweets at all. So maybe, in a sense, your brain is kind of creating the flavor. Yeah, your taste bud is taking in the sugar, and you're tasting sugar, but your brain, whether or not you like it or not, I don't know. Maybe it's subjective.
If he's saying taste is subjective, no shit. I think that's what in a roundabout way, that's what he's saying.
In a real nerdy, sciencey, trying to be science kind of way.
I have to say,
And it's an excuse for him to drink. His wife
Yeah, I
probably
know.
gets mad at him. Quit drinking so much wine. And he's like, I'm going to come up with a really cool reason. I'm going to do an article about it, and then it'll be my excuse to drink more wine.
I'm doing this for science, honey.
It's science, babe. Gulp, 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 gulp.
yeah, that's what I was thinking though. That's what came to mind when I was hearing Matt read that.
And I'll just read the last sentence of
Okay.
the article. But he warns against knocking it back as big sips saturate your system.
Oh no!
So drink a lot and you get drunk, is what he's saying. Okay. Yeah, makes sense, bud. What a breakthrough. Someone give this man a Nobel Prize.
Trump might if it gives him an excuse to drink.
Yeah, for real. See, hey, it's backed up by science. It's tremendous. All right, guys. I got a story.
Okay.
And I'm sure, Josh, you can probably guess what it's about.
Cannabis.
Hey! You must be like a mind reader. God told you or something.
God told me.
That's what it was? Okay, so is this the end of cannabis prohibition? Though 29 states have some form of cannabis legalization, the federal government still lists marijuana as a Schedule 1. Well, Schedule 1 controlled substance. According to the CSA, cannabis has no recognized medical benefit, has a high risk for abuse, and is too dangerous to research even under medical supervision, which we all know is false. A series of bills introduced in both the House of Representatives and the Senate could change all this. So Senator Ron Wyden and Representative Earl Blumenauer introduced the legislative package on March 30th as the path to marijuana reform. I'm pretty sure I told you this story already. Let's see here. In a statement, Representative Blumenauer used his home state to highlight the problems with conflicting state and federal laws on cannabis. As more states follow Oregon's leadership in legalizing and regulating marijuana, too many people are trapped between federal and state laws. It's not right and it's not fair. Passage of all three bills would drastically change in an industry that has matured and grown despite federal opposition. It is too early to know whether these bills stand a chance of becoming law, but if these trio of cannabis bills does pass, they would leapfrog the U.S. into one of the, or if not the most progressive countries on cannabis. Even if these bills do not pass this legislative session, they will almost certainly serve as guidelines for eventual legalization. Many are skeptical of these bills passing in light of our current presidential administration, and yet this may be exactly why their chances may be so good right now. Write your senator and your congressperson to let them know that full legalization is important to you. So the main thing here is write your congressperson and your legislation. I've read the story before. Well, not this exact story. I talked about the 3 bills going into Congress in the House or whatever. But I wanted to point this out to make sure you write your representative.
Okay, so I want to do something that is kind of bullshit. It's kind of shitty to do live on air, or I guess we're not technically live. But have you done it, Joe?
I have not yet, no.
So why don't you do that, and you should do that then.
All right, yeah, I will.
So we'll do an update on that next weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I would like to talk to them personally.
Well, you can call them. You won't ever get to talk to
Leave a voicemail.
Hatch or Mike Lee personally, unless you go to one of their rallies, which they won't ever do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just not sure if we should legalize marijuana because only bad people smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Sessions.
more than half of the world's population?
And I think that it should be done under doctor's supervision because... or should only be smoked under doctor's supervision because sometimes you don't want to get up from the couch and you need munchies and fuck, that's the worst.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
you have
people
a
who
bad
smoke
trip
marijuana are lazy.
because you have a bad trip and you're like, man, I can't even get my fucking munchies. Oh no.
It's funny how you look at a lot of these old timers, and that's how cannabis smokers are represented. Or you know what I mean? That's how
They perceive them.
they perceive them, and it's like they're not. You know, a lot of cannabis smokers I know are motivational, and I think Joe Rogan even said something along the lines, if you're sitting around and you're a lazy piece of shit and you're smoking cannabis, you're just a lazy piece of shit, you know, smoking cannabis. It has nothing to do with the cannabis.
Yeah, I mean, and Joe Rogan's one of the most accomplished Americans in recent history.
And
Like he's got fucking he did 2 TV shows. He has a podcast. He's been a fighter,
and he hosts or calls it or whatever the UFC.
Yeah, so I mean, like
An announcer.
He's like the last person you would think of when you think of a stereotypical stoner. I mean, and he obviously is in very good physical shape.
Yeah, he works out quite a bit.
Yep, his podcast is fucking huge.
Yeah, like
It's probably the biggest podcast.
Well, look at what Arnold Schwarzenegger has done as a person. You know what I mean?
does he smoke pot?
Yeah, he
I
smokes
didn't know
pot,
that.
and in his book, he talks about how he would smoke a bowl and or a joint before he
worked out.
Before he worked out.
I mean,
Pumping iron?
And just imagine how good Bill Clinton might have been if he had actually just inhaled.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger smokes a joint in Pumping Iron. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Oh yeah.
What is it? A old movie or a recent movie?
19, no, it was when he was training for Mr. Olympia or whatever.
Oh, it shows
he
him
smokes a joint before when he's working out.
Oh, really?
Or before he works out or whatever.
Yeah.
And Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Yeah.
He smoked pot. He got there was a scandal about him smoking a bong at a fucking party.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there was video of it.
Yeah. So they're not lazy, but also it's not a performing enhancing drug. A performance enhancing drug. And
Dude,
like, so when someone does it in sports, they call it a performing enhancing drug. But then when someone does it at home sitting on the couch, they say it's a drug that makes you lazy.
Dude,
I never thought about that. Yeah.
So no, it's who you are as a person. The cannabis is like, you have a drink of beer after dinner. You know, that it doesn't mean your work ethic is because of that beer that you had. It's the same thing with cannabis. Just because you smoke a little bit of weed when you get off of work or whenever, it doesn't mean that, you know, whoever you are as a person is related to your cannabis intake.
again, to be controversial, it definitely enhanced the performance of my entertainment intake.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's understandable.
Right.
Did you guys hear about the NFL owners want to get rid of marijuana testing.
Yeah, I saw that.
But they're not going to do it because they're going to use it as a bargaining chip when they go back to the collective bargaining, or when that's up, because they have a huge problem with painkiller addiction, and in the NFL, I mean, these people are hooked on painkillers.
Oh yeah. Well, they're getting hurt, and they're
Yeah. Let them smoke weed.
right. But
It's interesting that they're going to use it as a mechanism to make more money.
It's
so
awful.
Yes.
So,
awful.
so how I don't understand
Well,
how
no,
they'll
so
do
the
that.
collective bargaining agreements, what they do is they all go in with what they want, and then they try and come to like a center agreement. They're not going to just change their rules without going to the agreements with more bargaining chips.
Yeah.
So
So
they're
like
just-
we'll allow this player to play, but
no,
for a fee,
no, it's not
if
for
he's-
specific players. It's for the how much can players make as a cap, how much can teams pay as salary as a cap,
Yeah.
how much sharing is there as far as the income of money goes. So what rules should be in place? A lot of players will fight different rules. Like, should we make it mandatory that you have to stand during the national anthem? Might be one of those things that they would address in these collective bargaining agreements. So in this, and if they don't, then they can get fined, and how much can they get fined? So there's a lot of stuff that they talk about at these things. And so instead of them just saying we're going to remove it, they're going to say, hey, well, if you want to remove, you need to come down $10,000 per player on how much you're asking.
The players are going to have to give something up to get rid of something that the NFL owners don't even want anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
And
Oh my God!
It is
Okay.
kind of
so that NFL
It
owners
was on
can make
Deadspin.
more money.
Yeah,
Yes.
It seems petty, but they're really probably going with the advisement of their lawyers, which is
Yeah.
to
Of course.
always go to the table with as much as you can. So, yep, lawyers.
Yeah,
kinda-
fuck just being moral and letting them smoke marijuana and get off pills. Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't care about that.
Yeah.
We just care about that $10,000 more we'll make off each player.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is a science-based story. Scientists have found a new way to get cancer cells to self-destruct. And this is on Science Alert. A newly discovered mechanism causes cancer cells to kill themselves off, and researchers say it could be particularly effective for aggressive forms of the disease, such as pancreatic cancer. Once the process is activated by modifying a specific protein inside cancerous tissues, the relentless division that drives the disease down is drawn to a halt, causing cancer cells to die off rather than spreading throughout the body. And unlike current cancer treatments, this technique leaves healthy cells alone. The discovery of an exclusive mechanism that kills cells without impairing healthy cells, and the fact is that this mechanism works on a variety of rapid proliferating human cancer cells, is very exciting, says lead researcher Malka Cohen-Arman. The scientists focused on a protein that affects the construction and stability of the spindle, the part of the cell responsible for organizing genetic material during a stage of cell division called mitosis. The team found that certain compounds in cancerous cells, derivatives of the chemical phenylthiridine, end up disrupting the spindle, preventing cell chromosomes from splitting and stopping the cell division. So it doesn't really say how I don't know if it's a drug that's delivered like through the blood, or if it's because sometimes they've been using viruses to change the DNA of cells. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it has something to do with it, but I don't know for sure. It doesn't really go into much depth. But this might be a good way of curing cancer.
And we're always
specific
for,
cancers.
more and more ways to, even though, there's a lot of research around cannabis right now, I'll take anything that cures cancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Her father passed away due to pancreatic cancer. It's fucking awful. It's like the worst.
And then, like, Holly had cervical cancer, and they removed that, and she needs to go in for another checkup and stuff. But, you never know. What if it comes back? What if it's worse? What if this? What if that? And any movement towards a cure for cancer, I'm all for, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone's free will or anything like that.
I need to get checked because I had melanoma, skin cancer, that got removed, and then I got checked again, and I had precancerous cells, and they removed that. And I haven't been in for a checkup for years. I really need to get in and get checked.
I had a mole once right here. I don't know. It was like 10 years ago. It like grew. I was like, what the hell? And then it shrunk and went away. It was the weirdest thing.
That's weird. As
Yeah,
shit.
and then this mole's scary. I've had this mole since I was a kid and stuff, but it's gigantic and scary, and it's like, oh.
They have to be discolored or oddly shaped, usually.
That's
Joe's-
a little discolored.
Joe has anytime that Joe has an excuse to take off clothes, he does. God damn it.
It's true. It's
He's
true.
taking his shirt off, everybody.
Look at these muscles.
Oh, God, now he's taking his pants off.
Are you guys
Just
intimidated?
kidding.
Are you guys intimidated by my trunk? Is it as big as Josh's trunk?
Probably not, Joe.
Aww,
Burn, man.
it's mean. Well, do you want to see?
No thanks.
Let's compare trunks.
So this story is coming from Pathios, our favorite actor, Kevin Sorbo.
Yay! Kung Fu.
Wasn't he Hercules?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah, Hercules, yeah. I was thinking of the other guy who
Hercules.
choked himself to
David
death
Carradine.
while he was jacking off.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Remember that?
Yeah. Shit just got intense.
Well, they were both old shows that we watched, back in the day, so
Yep.
I confused them.
Sex while camping. Fucking intense.
All right. And this is coming from Hemameta, our friendly atheist friend. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sure.
All right. It was just
So it's Hemameta.
Hemameta.
Hemameta, but you say it real fast. I always feel like it's one word or one name.
Whenever
Like-
I watch his videos,
You know
he
what I-
says Hemameta.
Oh, okay.
That's how I'm hearing it.
Maybe
okay.
it's French, and that's why we can't hear the last int.
And all right. It was just 2 weeks ago that I posted about the latest awful movie starring Kevin Sorbo. He was once the atheist professor who accepted Christ in God's Not Dead. Now in the upcoming Let There Be Light, he was going to play an atheist author who eventually accepted Christ.
God damn it.
Turns out that's not the only movie Sorbo is working on, and the next film he's about to start shooting is barely different from the others. One Nation Under God, which begins filming on April 8th, is all about a Louisiana magnet high school where they don't say under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. When a new student challenges the policy, cue the Christian hero, he has to convince his moderate teacher, played by Sorbo, and the policy-defending principal, played by Casper Van Dien. The debate even reaches the presidential campaign where one of the candidates, Antonio Sabato, happens to be an alumni of the school and gets in trouble for promoting faith in school. Oh,
Good.
persecuted Christians.
Right.
So sad. The script is fantastic, and the message is incredibly compelling in what it stands for, said Sabato. I believe in and respect everyone's right to express their opinions, no matter what those opinions are. The First Amendment guarantees us the right, but there are many who will feel differently, that our freedoms should be restricted, while people around the globe continue to struggle for freedom of speech and religion.
Freedom of speech, freedom of speech.
One Nation Under God reminds us, through its simple story of one young man who questions the system, that our basic freedoms must often be defended if we want to keep them.
So, since Chad's new, I want to hear Chad's opinion on this type of story.
Okay, Sabato Jr. is very open about his support for Trump. And I don't get this stupid bullshit. The student challenges the... Can you scroll up just for a sec? The student challenges the policy. When a new student challenges the policy of not saying under God...
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the
blow
Christian
it out your
hero.
ass. That's the stupidest damn thing. So it's one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How-
He challenges that.
Yeah,
I say blow it out your ass, kid. Go get back to class. that doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's the thing. It's the Christian persecution. So whenever we go, well, you can't really do that. Not everyone's a Christian. Not everyone believes in God. So let's leave the God thing out of it. Why don't you keep it personal, like your Bible tells you to do? You're persecuting me, and
Right.
no, we're
Yeah.
not. You're persecuting other people by throwing your will, your religion onto other people,
Like
and
this-
forcing other people to say it, and forcing people to listen to it, and they don't understand.
It's
mandating. I don't understand why they don't understand. I don't get it. Why do they feel like they're being persecuted?
Confirmation bias.
Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain it to me a little bit then? Like
Well, there's lots of reasons. One, we're a Christian nation. Two, the Supreme Court said that under God doesn't mean Christian God. It just means a higher power. So it's fine.
But then they get upset when we say, well, then let's not have under God. And they're like, that's Christian persecution. It's like, well, I thought it wasn't Christian.
Exactly.
You know? I'm
going to finish up the article.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You don't get to give the Braveheart speech to a group of people who have a history of suppressing the rights of others. In terms of First Amendment violations, Christians being unable to proselytize through the pledge is nowhere on that list. And in this case, where the pledge just reverts back to its pre-1954 wording, there's no need for the persecution complex to emerge.
Yeah.
So, here, Hema.
So, hey, is it me?
It's all you, Joe.
So I got 2 science stories today. This isn't really the main science story, but it's about space. I love talking about space, and my next science story is about space again.
Oh, science.
Yeah. So this one is coming from Business Insider, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'll stop now.
Okay, thanks, Matt. So for nearly 3 decades, researchers have worked to design, build, launch, and operate an unprecedented mission to explore Saturn. Called Cassini-Huygens, or Cassini for short, the Golden nuclear-powered spacecraft launched in October 1997. And it fell into orbit around the gas giant in July 2004. And has been documenting the planet and its dazzling variety of moons ever since. But all good things must come to an end, and for NASA's $3 billion probe, that day is Friday, September 15th, 2017. During a press conference held by the U.S. Space Agency on April 4th, researchers explained why they're killing off their cherished spacecraft, what they call the grand finale. The maneuver will use up the fleeting reserves of Cassini's fuel and put the robot on a collision course with Saturn. Cassini's own discoveries were its demise. Okay, so Earl Mays, an engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory who manages the Cassini mission, said that. Mays was referring to a warm, saltwater ocean that Cassini found hiding beneath the icy crust of Enceladus, or whatever, a large moon of Saturn that spews water into space. NASA's probe flew through these curtain-like jets of vapor and ice in October 2015, tasted the material, and indirectly discovered the subsurface ocean's composition, and it's one that may support alien life. So, we cannot risk an inadvertent contact with the pristine body, Mays said. Cassini has got to be put safely away, and since we wanted to stay at Saturn, the only choice was to destroy it in some controlled fashion. But Mays and a collaboration of researchers from 19 nations aren't going to let their plucky probe go down without a fight. They plan to squeeze every last bite of data they can from the robot, right up until Cassini turns into a brilliant radioactive comet above the swirling storms of Saturn. Long before Cassini began orbiting Saturn in 2004, mission managers carefully plotted out its orbits to squeeze in as many flybys of the gas giant planet, its moons, and its expansive icy rings as possible. Their goal: get lots of chance to record unprecedented new images, gravitational data, and magnetic readings without putting the spacecraft into harm's way or burning up too much of its limited propellant. But after 13 years of operation at nearly 1 billion miles away from Earth, Cassini's tank is running close to empty. So we're coming to an end. As it runs out of fuel, the things it can do are quite limited until we decided on a new approach. Jim Green, the leader of NASA's planetary science program, said during the press conference. NASA could have propelled Cassini to some other planet, perhaps Uranus or Neptune, in 2010. However, mission managers decided to keep it around Saturn, reasoning they could squeeze more science out of the mission there. But this effectively doomed the spacecraft to a fiery death. Cassini's death spiral will officially begin on April 22nd, 2017. That's when it will, for the last time, fly by Titan, an icy moon of Saturn's that's bigger than our own, has a thick atmosphere, seas of liquid methane, and even rain. Titan's gravity will slingshot Cassini over Saturn above the planet's atmosphere and on April 26th through a narrow void between the planet and the innermost edge of its rings. That's last kiss. That last kiss goodbye will put Cassini into Saturn. This is a roller coaster ride. We're going in and we're not coming out. It's a one-way trip. But it's cool. They're going to launch it between the rings and the planet in a small void and then crash it right into the planet. That's going to be cool. And think about the images that are going to come back from that. It's going to be fucking incredible. But but also it's cool that they're crashing it into Saturn to avoid crashing it into a water moon.
Did you know
a water-like moon that has warm oceans underneath the icy crust? Saltwater oceans. Like, there could be life there. And it's funny, the more we even look in our own solar system, the more things we find. I think Jupiter also has a moon that's a water icy moon and stuff. So Jupiter, Saturn, I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What's amazing about this, and every time I listen to stories where we're shooting things into space or, watch documentaries, when you consider the vastness of the cosmos, how big it is, and all these different moving bodies, they all have separate gravity and all this, they're all interacting to each other, and the space between them is just huge and insane. And we have enough know-how where we can navigate and use those gravities and slingshot and do all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
To where
use
they know
gravitational pull to slingshot a ship or a probe.
Yeah, and they know they're going to go through the rings.
Yeah,
through a small void and hit. It's insane.
Yeah.
And there's no way faith and religion can get you there.
Yeah, no.
Did you, hey Joe? Did you know that the first time that they decided to crash one of those orbiters into a gas giant, that it was pretty controversial?
Oh, really?
Yeah, part of the science community, and this was
they were afraid there was life that we couldn't see.
No, they were afraid that it was going to cause an explosion.
Oh, okay.
Like an insane,
like
blow the planet up type shit.
Oh yeah, there was fear that if you crashed something with rocket fuel into I think it was Jupiter, that it would cause it to become it might cause it to become a star. Like they thought it was only a small percentage, and this is only some of the scientists, but they were worried that something like that could trigger an explosion and then cause it to become a star, and you don't want that, of course, because it would mean that we would die. And,
yeah.
We ended up crashing it into it because it's missing oxygen, as stars would have, because stars create things. But stars are going through fusion. It's not like they exploded and then became stars. They were so heavy that it caused particles to fuse together, which caused the what we see when we see a star. But yeah, that's a little bit of trivia for you. But that's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
I didn't even know that there was. I thought the rings went all the way up to the planet. So
yeah, well, yeah, they basically do. Like they said, it's going to be a small void that we're going to push through. Then also I read another article after that, when it does crash into the planet, they're going to the northern hemisphere, and where the hexagon storm is on top of the planet, and they're going to try to crash it as close to that as possible to try to understand why exactly the storm is shaped like a hexagon.
Cool.
Which is, it is kind of odd. It's like whenever you see pictures of that storm, like you look at Jupiter's main storm, and it's an oval shape. It's round,
like 300 times the size of Earth.
Yeah, and then you look at any storm that we have, like a hurricane, and it's a circle and stuff. But there's a storm on top of Saturn that's shaped like a hexagon. And it's strange, and so they're going to try to crash it near that to see if they can get any readings and figure out why it's shaped like that.
Yeah,
awesome. Cool. Data.
All right.
Evidence.
So my next my next story is just the Gorsuch. You can.
I just want to show you guys this real quick. That's the storm.
What the hell?
Yeah. Saturn's hexagon-shaped jet storm at the planet's north pole. It is like a stop sign. Yeah, it's straight up a hexagon. Is that pretty interesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or that's bizarre.
Use the mic. All right.
It's hard to get used to.
So this is coming from CBS News. Senate nuclear option invoked in Gorsuch. I can't say his name for some reason. Confirmation vote. Senate Republicans successfully invoked the so-called nuclear option Thursday, eliminating the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees. This clears the way for President Trump's nominee Neil Gorsuch to be confirmed as an associate judge to the High Court. The rule change came after Senate Democrats successfully blocked the nomination with the filibuster in place. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, then moved to change the rules so that the 60-vote threshold to advance the Supreme Court nomination is now eliminated. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, had attempted to delay the effort to change the rules until after a 2-week congressional recess, but failed to secure enough votes to proceed in that way. He also tried to adjourn until the evening, but was unsuccessful. Under the new rules, a Senate took simple majority procedure vote to limit the debate to 30 hours on the nomination. So it's Gorsuch is now the newest Supreme Court justice. He is supposedly to the right of what's his name? Scalia. He's actually significantly more pro-corporate than Scalia. So even if he happens to be a little more moderate on social issues, he's definitely going to be more pro-corporation. Which sucks. It sucks for a number of reasons. This also is going to give essentially the Republicans rough shot over a lot of different things in the House. If there's another nominee in the next 2 years, they'll be able to vote it in with a simple majority. So if what's her name steps down?
Bader Ginsburg?
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yeah, so if Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies or becomes essentially forced to retire because of health issues, then she would be replaced by this Senate. And then also if Clarence Thomas decides to step down now, which it would be in his best interest to, but he won't. If he steps down in the next 2 years, then this Congress will be able to push it through.
Oh, they got to hold out. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Both those, everybody's got to live.
Well, Clarence Thomas is the most conservative. He was way more conservative than Scalia. And he was also more pro-corporate than Scalia. So Scalia is bad. He was bad. He was terrible with social issues. And that's the reason why we, like people on the left hated him, is because he was terrible with social issues. But he was not as pro-corporate as most of the rest of the Supreme Court. So now we're going to have...
but we do hope whoever's there right now, they got to hold out.
Yeah.
Hopefully for 4 years, and then... if we get somebody else in there.
Well, yeah,
but I think Trump's going to – I still think he's going to go 8 years.
I can't agree with you. I don't even think he's going to go 4. And I mean,
Dude.
You and me are going to have some disagreement on this, but I think that there's so many loose ends that Donald Trump has not addressed or cannot address at this point.
And people don't care.
Yeah. It will matter. Once his popularity – because he's 13 points underwater, Matt. Once his popularity drops to under 30% and it becomes popular to attack him, then guess what people are going to do? They're going to start attacking him, including the senators.
When he was elected, he had a 60% disapproval rating, and
Sure.
he won.
Sure.
So,
that's because
and if the
because of the Democrats. It's not in a vacuum, though. He was
I know.
against the most unpopular candidate ever.
And do you see the Democrats turning
Yes.
and picking somebody
They're
who
not gonna have a
is
choice.
not pro-corporate?
They're not going to have a choice.
I think they're so dumb, and I think a lot of Americans are so dumb that Trump's going to win.
See, I wish, Josh, I wish you were right. But I think Matt's
when it
right.
comes so when it comes to impeachment proceedings, and if he has those loose ends that we've been kind of hinting at the last few podcasts with him and his ties to Russia, because those ties to Russia exist. Now we don't know who is the key tie over. We don't know if it's Manafort. We don't know if it's
Tillerson or
not Tillerson. It's probably definitely not Tillerson.
no.
And it's almost absolutely not Pence. Like, we don't know if Pence was involved in any of it. But if you're talking about the guy who used to be his
Lewandowski,
so
Corey,
there's
Lewandowski.
Lewandowski is one of them, possibly.
The guy that ran the campaign.
Are you thinking of Mike Flynn?
Mike Flynn.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Flynn.
So General Flynn also resigned. So there's all these tie-overs to Russia. And if you think that Russia doesn't also have records of this that they could just drop on Donald Trump, then you're insane. Of course, Putin is evil enough or conniving enough to keep record of this. So he's gonna, if Putin gets tired of Trump and wants Pence instead, he'll just drop those records on the news. And so there's a lot of loose ends that could end up essentially ending his presidency far before he gets to a chance to run for another 4 years.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Clinton got pushed out for lying to Congress about a blowjob. So,
Yeah.
I mean, having ties to Russia, I don't know which one's worse,
But
blowjobs or Russia. But
yeah, I mean, lying under oath,
Blowjobs.
which Donald Trump has done substantial number of times. If that is the case, if he didn't do anything wrong and he just happens to have all of these, and he picked the wrong guy who chose a bunch of people who were Russia or tied to Russia just because they were his Russia buddies, and Trump had nothing to do with it, then maybe Trump escapes this. But I don't know.
well, I hope I'm wrong
Yep.
because 8 years of Trump. Oh my God!
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that the corporate Democrats are going to have a choice. I think that because there is a democratic process still, and I think that the people are either going to, if they throw up Bernie Sanders or they throw up Elizabeth Warren or they throw up Tulsi Gabbard, any of those three are going to be liberal sweethearts, and we're going to fucking run it into the ground. And it's going to be the same thing. If they force in a pro-corporate Democrat, then maybe you're right. Because there's no way that we're going to rally behind a pro-corporate Democrat. But they throw up, if any of those three run, and there's going to be a huge movement behind them. Like what Bernie Sanders had, plus what the knowledge of who Bernie Sanders is, who Elizabeth Warren is, who Tulsi Gabbard is.
Well, so many people, because of Bernie, so many more people are following politics. And I follow Tulsi Gabbard on Facebook, and she's got so many followers. You know what I mean? And it's almost, I don't want to say rock star status, but, you know, a lot of people are paying attention, and a lot of people are, I don't know. I think if Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie or even Elizabeth Warren, just like you said, run and get it, we're yeah.
What a little piece of skepticism I have comes from, so Bernie, he's pushing this Medicare for all bill.
Sure.
And a huge portion of Democrats haven't signed on to it.
Well, those Democrats can go fuck themselves.
I know,
they're
but
corporate
I think,
Democrats.
But that's the majority of the fucking party, and that's my point.
That's not the majority of the party. That's the majority of the people who are elected. There's
Yeah,
a
that's
huge
what I mean.
difference. There's a huge difference. The difference is
But they're
that
the ones running the party.
sure, they're in charge of that part of the party, but if there's a movement behind the more liberal wing of the Democrats, they don't have a say in it because they're going to get voted in. And they've also started to remove some of the things that were in place last time when Bernie ran, which is they've limited the number of superdelegates to less than half of how many superdelegates there were. That was the way that they tried to get Bernie Sanders supporters to vote for Hillary Clinton. So some of those safeguards, quote unquote, are now out of place. So now we have a bigger say in what happens the next election.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, and it's all right to be skeptical, and I encourage being skeptical, and I understand it, but I don't think that we're going to give them a chance.
We will see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, guys. So this is my science story.
Okay.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da.
Joe.
Okay, so this is coming from Science Alert. All right, people. This is about
What is this about?
this is about space.
I thought you were going to say sex. Because you had this weird, creepy look on your face.
Well,
You were like, this is about... What the hell is going on
Joe
here?
knows what's going on.
I know what's going on. Okay, so this is about space, the final
Sex?
frontier. These are the voyages of Joe. Okay, so astronomers have detected an atmosphere around an Earth-like exoplanet called Gliese 1132b, which is located around 39 light years away in a constellation Vela. This is the first time atmosphere has been detected around a planet with a mass and radius so similar to Earth's, and that makes it a hugely promising target for researchers searching for signs of extraterrestrial life. While this is not the detection of life on another planet, it's an important step in the right direction. The detection of an atmosphere around the super-Earth, GJ1132b, marks the first time that an atmosphere has been detected around an Earth-like planet other than Earth itself. So there's still a lot to learn about this planet's atmosphere, but early observations suggest it could be a water world with an atmosphere of hot steam, aka a pretty awesome place to go looking for life. So far, we know that GJ has a mass about 1.6 times that of Earth's and has roughly 1.4 times its radius, which in terms of exoplanets makes it remarkably similar to our home planet. But as with all exoplanet discoveries, the researchers are quick to remind the public that the observations to date still really don't give us much insight into how similar this planet could be to Earth or how habitable. Some bad news up front is it has an estimated surface temperature of 370 degrees Celsius or 698 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes it unlikely that it could host life like us. And let's not forget that we've recently been burned by the detection of TRAPPIST-1's sister solar system and neighboring Earth-like planets Proxima b, both of which are unlikely to be the friendly places for life we first thought they were. I didn't read that article, but on the podcast. But TRAPPIST-1, they've been, of course, that's the one with the 7 the Earth-like planets in the Goldilocks zone. And they were really excited about it. Well, they've been getting a lot of readings and stuff back from them, and they're like, it probably won't be able to hold life because it's I can't remember, it's a dwarf star, and so what happens is it's shooting out all these solar flares, and you got to think these solar flares are a lot more powerful than the solar flares that hit us because it's a smaller star. These planets are closer to it, unlike with Earth and our sun. The sun is quite large, so we're a good distance away from it, and we're still getting a lot of, like, when there was a solar flare that hit us, and I think in like the 1800s or the 1900s, and like a lot of our radio technology failed and stuff like that. It was really interesting. But these planets are so close, and they're getting bombarded. Like they said, they're getting hit every like 15 minutes. There's no way like an atmosphere could form because of it and all sorts of stuff. So they're saying they're pretty sure there's not going to be any life on any of those 7 planets, which sucks. So TRAPPIST-1 isn't really a life, planet. So this new planet, it has an atmosphere, but it's extremely hot there. So they're saying, they might not find life, but who knows? There's a lot of the micro life that exists down in our oceans right next to lava vents, and it's extremely hot right there, but there's life there. Yeah, so they are going to look more into this.
Yeah, we find microorganisms living everywhere on the planet. Extreme cold, extreme hot.
Oh yeah,
extreme pressure. You can find them.
So I'm going to hurry and finish up. But none of those planets had ever gotten as far as having an atmosphere detected like this planet. This planet, GJ, is already doing pretty well in terms of a spot that could potentially host life. Right now, the top strategy for astronomers in search for life on another planet is to detect the chemical composition of that planet's atmosphere, looking for certain chemical imbalances that could hint at the presence of living organisms. For example, on Earth, a large amount of oxygen in our atmosphere is that smoking gun. We're a long way of having that much insight into GJ, but the fact that we've detected its atmosphere at all is a good first step. The planet orbits the not-too-distant red dwarf star Gliese 1132, which Southworth and his team studied using the ESO MPG telescope in Chile. They measured the slight dip in brightness across 7 wavelengths of light, as GJ passed in front of their host star every 1.6 Earth days in order to get a better idea of the size and composition of the planet. They were surprised to find that the planet appeared larger when observed in one type of infrared wavelength of light, which suggests that the planet has an atmosphere that's opaque to these wavelengths. The team went on to model different possible versions of this atmosphere and found that an atmosphere, rich in water and methane could explain what they are seeing. Prior to this, only exoplanets that researchers have detected atmospheres around were planets that were more than 8 times more massive than Earth and gas giants similar to Jupiter. We still have a lot to learn about GJ, and hopefully we'll have some more answers soon. The new discovery makes it one of the highest priority targets to be studied by instruments such as the Hubble Space Telescope, the Very Large Telescope, and the James Webb Space Telescope, which is scheduled to launch in 2018.
I can't wait for James Webb to launch.
Yeah,
that's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get a lot of incredible images.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what the James Webb Telescope is?
I don't.
What that is it's like Hubble times 10.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, if you like the Hubble images, it's way
like
better.
all those nebulas and
Yeah.
all those other planets and everything that we see, that's because of Hubble. We're going to get 10 times.
I think I have heard of that. Doesn't it see in different... it sees different light, though, than Hubble?
No, it
correct?
can. It can. It has the detection ability to see in various different
Wavelengths.
But Hubble does as well.
Yeah. So with
okay.
it has more features than Hubble, though. So you can see in
But
other-
Hubble does have the capability to see in different light.
Yep. So here's my last story. But before I get to my last story, I want like doing rundowns of stories we didn't get to. So a petition for Melania Trump moves to move to the White House surges in popularity. A Russian terrorist attack on Monday kills 9 with ties to ISIS. John Cena proposes to wife at WrestleMania 3. He suplexed her out of joy. Actually not, but... there was the Florida shooting that happened this week. Alabama governor impeachment trial starts for affair. The Masters started this weekend, I think, or continued this week. Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump travels there again. Reminder, every time he travels there, it costs the taxpayers $3 million, and this is his 6th trip. Mexican wall puts Republicans on the Mexican side. Jeff Sessions ups his police brutality, and Putin may be secretly killing gay people. All right, so the last story that I have for today is... it's from several different sources. This source that I'm using for the start is Los Angeles Times. President Donald Trump removed his controversial chief strategist Steve Bannon from the powerful National Security Council on a high-level staff reshuffle that consolidated the power of the White House National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster's. During the first weeks of his presidency, Trump was sharply criticized for authorizing Bannon to attend all NSC meetings, a move that gave outspoken political advisor outsized influence over the military and intelligence decisions from the policy-making body. Now, the second story that I'm covering in regards to this story is this one's from the Daily Beast. Steve Bannon calls Jared Kushner a cuck and a globalist behind his back. Donald Trump's chief strategist, Steve Bannon, has called the president's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, a cuck and a globalist during a time of high tension between the top 2 aides. Several Trump administration officials told the Daily Beast. The fighting between Kushner and Bannon has been nonstop in recent weeks, according to sources who spoke on condition of anonymity. It's been an open secret that Bannon and Kushner often clash face-to-face, according to senior officials. What do you guys think about that?
It's interesting. So a cuck, if I remember correctly, you're a guy and your wife's cheating on you, correct?
Yeah, with somebody who's not white.
Yes. So he is saying that Ivanka, isn't that Ivanka's husband?
Yeah, that would be.
He is saying Ivanka is fucking some black dude or Asian guy or whatever. You know,
it's essentially, but I think that the way he's using it is meant to be understood as a beta male. But yeah, I mean,
like you're a bitch,
yeah.
basically.
But what's funny is that he calls Jared Kushner a cuck, but it's Steve Bannon who's getting removed. So Jared Kushner is cucking Steve Bannon, right? But who knows in this fucking alt-right universe. And the last story is Trump fires warning shots in battle between Bannon and Kushner. And also, there was another story out this week that Steve Bannon threatened to quit if he got removed from the Security Council.
Which he did get removed.
Yes, absolutely. And this is from the New York Times, Washington. As he grappled on Thursday with his first major decision involving military action, a fed up and frustrated President Trump turned to his top two aides and told them he had had enough of their incessant knife fights in the media. Work this out, Trump said, according to the two people briefed on the exchange. The admonition was aimed at Stephen Bannon, the tempestuous chief strategist and his chief of staff over a series of dust-ups with Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor and the top economic advisor, Gary D. Cohn. But they may not be able to. But essentially what Donald Trump said is resolve this, and now they're like coming out to the media as being like lovers again.
We're homies, man.
Yeah,
We're homies.
Pretending like they're tight. So this will be a story to follow over the weeks as it plays out, because now Steve Bannon is no longer as important as he used to be. And we'll see if Steve Bannon flips completely on Donald Trump and starts calling Donald Trump a cuck.
There's a lot of infighting
Yeah.
in his administration.
Yep, because
always has
Even
been.
in the cannabis sector, like Sessions totally disagrees with cannabis, and
Kushner's-
there's another guy who's like, no, we need to legalize cannabis, and he called Sessions an idiot or something, and this between Bannon and them, I don't know.
well, I think that Trump kind of likes the infighting. Honestly,
He's like a drama queen.
Well, it's not even the drama part of it. Like, he doesn't want anybody to have 100% influence, and maybe I'm giving Trump too much credit. He might not be smart enough to think about things that way.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Or maybe he's just sitting back like, they're mad.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
A little more.
This is tremendous. This is fun to watch. It's tremendous.
Thanks for joining us, Chad. It was fun to sit here and bullshit. I know it's a little awkward, your first time being on a podcast.
podcast Ginity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard.
You're,
Good time.
you're
Thanks
no
for
longer a
having
virgin. That's so hot.
So,
We'll have to have you on again. As always, you guys can find this podcast on Stitcher and on Spreaker and on YouTube. You can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/The Evil Atheists, and atheists is plural. And you can email us if you'd like to add something at recklesslyskeptical@gmail.com. Thank you very much. We love you, ladies and gentlemen.
and don't forget to comment, and we will read your comments.
Oh, yeah. See you next time.
Peace.
Think passionately.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.